What's going on? I'm back into another video, and today, now it's no secret that Arrow is my favorite TV show of all time. I love it. I watch it all the time. It's fantastic. I am a Stephen Amell stan. I love that show. But I've never sat down and ranked the seasons of the show. And since the show is now over, I thought, okay, well, it's time. So today, we are ranking all 8 seasons of Arrow from the worst to the best. But before we get into that, first off, thank you so much for taking the time to click on the video, liking, commenting, subscribing. All that means the absolute world. Let me know. Let me know down below in the comments, what is your favorite season of Arrow if you've watched Arrow. Look, this is not the right list. It's just my list. Sean Chandler. Like it's not the right list. It's my list. This is my personal ranking of Arrow episodes. So there's 8 of them. I'm not going to give really long drawn out reviews. I'm going to tell you why it's where it is, what I liked, what I didn't like, and we will be on our way. So I think without further ado, let's just hop in to the first one. So coming in at number 8 is season 4. This is by far the clunkiest, most just the worst season of Arrow. I understand where they were trying to go with Damien Dark and the mystical stuff and all of that, but I just didn't like that. Arrow is a show where you need to deal with the real hardened world. The mob bosses, drug dealers, crime lords. That's what Arrow was made for. That's where it thrives. If you see, the first 2 seasons are going to be very high up my list because that's what you're dealing with for a majority of it. Not saying I enjoy every season of Arrow, so I'm not saying that the seasons are terrible, but this is by far the worst of the bunch. Coming in at number 7 is season 6. Again, I like all of the seasons. It's just there's stuff in this that is just, it was so clogged with stuff. So you start off with Caden James as the villain, and then you bring in Black Siren from Earth 2, and then Caden James dies, and it turns out Ricardo Diaz is the villain. And I think Ricardo Diaz is a fantastic villain, but it was Amazing Spider-Man 2 syndrome. Like, it was literally too many villains, too many storylines. And then on top of that, you've got Oliver as the mayor. You've got him going through trial because everyone thinks that he's the Green Arrow. You've got the FBI coming in. It's so much packed on. The reason it's better than the other one is because you're down on the ground facing real people. It's not mystical, magical stuff and nukes and stuff like that, like season 4. And there is some really great intrigue in this season. There's a lot of very interesting moments. There is, what am I trying to say? There is suspense. There is great cliffhangers. Like literally, the final episode I'm looking at right now is like literally Oliver confessing that he is the Green Arrow and going to jail. Like, come on. The only cliffhanger that's better than that is season 5. But trust me, we will get to that later. That's fantastic. So it's like, this season, while it is not great, it is very clunky. The plot is all over the place, and there is a billion villains. There are parts that are redeeming, and that is why it is not at the bottom of the list. Coming in at number 6 is season 7. Now, when he was in prison, I actually really had a good time with it. It's just Oliver locked up with all of his past villains, and he has to survive, and that is what it is. But then he's released, you bring in Emiko, you have this family drama where she's all mad at her dad and blah, 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 blah. She tries to come out with a bioweapon, and it's just like, it's a mess. It's just a mess. And then you have a good cliffhanger with Oliver having to go off, but it was a great, like, Team Arrow finale. I don't know. we'll talk about Season 8 soon because I actually enjoyed Season 8 quite a bit. So we'll talk about Season 8 soon. But you know, that's why it's not at the bottom of the list. I really enjoyed the stuff in prison. I like how it's a really great finale to the overall arc of Green Arrow because Season 8's mostly just getting ready for Crisis. But yeah, Season 7, not fantastic, not bad. It's middle of the road and comes at number 6 on the list. Coming at number 5 is Season 3. You know, this is kind of just middle of the road. We're getting into kind of middle of the road territory where they're not terrible, they're not great, they're good. It's solid. And you've got Ra's al Ghul, great villain. You've got a League of Assassins, Oliver having to go in and do all that. That stuff's kind of clunky. I didn't really dig that stuff as much. But that's interesting. You're back. You're with OG Team Arrow with just the few of them trying to figure this stuff out on their own. And then I believe this is the season where Laurel starts to become Black Canary. Sarah comes back. You know, so that's kind of the stuff that's coming in, and I believe Thea becomes part of it as well. No, you've got Roy, and then Thea goes off and does her stuff, and that's all in this. So a lot is starting to happen. We're starting to come up with a team. I really like Roy. I think he is great in this entire show. He's got a great dynamic with Thea. I'm so happy they got married at the end of season 8. That's just fantastic. But again, middle of the road, not great, not bad. It's average at best, and it comes in at number 5 on my list. And coming in at number 4 is season 8. So talking about season 8, all it is getting ready for Crisis. And while a lot of people don't like that, I know I watched Sean Chandler, he really didn't like that, and I understand. I get it. But we knew already that this was going to be the final season. So it was a lot of fan service. It was the Avengers Endgame of fan service seasons. And so we went back in time, we visited old friends, we did old things, all leading up to Oliver's final sacrifice. And that is why I have it as high as I do, because this is it for Oliver. We know he's going to die. So we're reliving these moments with him. We're going down memory lane, visiting old people. It's a lot of closure for Oliver, and that is something that I really liked. While we also get to work with OG Team Arrow, and we also have the flash forwards from the other people. But then you bring in Mia, and you've got great moments with grown-up Mia and Oliver, and teaching Mia how to be Green Arrow, and I love that. And then it all comes to a T when Oliver makes the final sacrifice in Crisis on Infinite Earths, and we have a very satisfying series finale. A lot of people didn't like it. I personally really dug it. I loved it. Rest in peace, Oliver Queen. You have saved this universe. Season 8 is not fantastic in any way. It's not amazing, but it's not bad. I enjoyed it. For what it was, I enjoyed the sentiment, and I really, really dug it. Coming in at number 3 is Season 1. This is classic Arrow. We're getting into really good territory now. It's simple. You've got Oliver, Dig, and you got Felicity. And they're going off, marking people off his list, and then Malcolm Merlyn shows up, and you've got to stop all of that stuff with the Glades. It's classic Arrow. Gritty, hardcore, dark, great action, great hand-to-hand combat. And then you've got the Dark Archer versus Arrow. It's awesome. I enjoyed it. You've also got Oliver is still a vigilante, and the cops are after him too, and it's awesome. It's fantastic, and I loved it. It was great. Malcolm Merlyn is a fantastic villain. It comes at number 3 on my list. Coming in at number 2 is Season 2. If Season 1 was fantastic, Season 2 is excellent. It's amazing. If it wasn't for my number 1 spot, Deathstroke would be the best villain in the Arrowverse. I would go off to say. I think Zoom's pretty good. I think the Reverse Flash is pretty good, but Deathstroke is up there as one of the best villains. We didn't think that the island would come back to bite us, and it did. And Deathstroke is just one of the best villains, and Oliver is really meeting his match, and I just dug it. It's the best old Arrow. It is. I love it. It's great. It comes in at number 2 on my list. But coming in at number 1, you guys know I rave about this season all the time. It is season 5. Prometheus is the best villain. The best villain. The best villain. He is the best villain. And this is why. Because he takes Oliver and he grinds him down and he shows him, you ain't this hero that you think you are. You're a murderer. You've done a lot of bad. And he makes Oliver think about that and confess that, and he really breaks him down, and it's just fantastic. Another thing I really enjoy is this is the beginning of New Team Arrow. You've got all of the new people, and you start to form the team, and Oliver's hesitant at first, and then they join and they do all of that and all that. But that's great because these are new characters that I ended up really loving. I loved every single one of them. And then you also have Oliver and his son, so you've got that personal arc as well, where you're training the new team, fighting this bad guy and confronting your own wrongs, and you've got this personal stuff with your son, and it all comes to head on Lian Yu in the finale, the best cliffhanger of any Arrow season. It's not the best cliffhanger. I would argue it is. I would actually argue it is because we thought everyone died. So when we got into episode 1 of season 6, we were like, okay, that person's alive, they're alive, they're alive. I was gonna say the finale of season 2 of Flash was a better cliffhanger when he goes back and saves his mom, but then we just were like, oh, it's gonna just be Flashpoint. Where with this one, we were like, okay, what? Adrian Chase, the best villain in the Arrowverse, the best season of Arrow, the best cliffhanger, fantastic plot points, great overarching plots. I believe this is the season that we end flashbacks. I could be wrong though. Don't quote me on that. It might be season 6, but I don't remember. But overall, the best season of Arrow. Definitive list. I'm joking. It is just my list. We're going to run it back down for you guys real quick. Let me just pull up my notes really quickly if I can type in my passcode correctly. At number 8 is season 4, number 7 season 6, number 6 season 7, number 5 season 3, number 4 season 8, number 3 season 1, number 2 season 2, and number 1 season 5. But guys, that is pretty much it. Let me know down below in the comments, what is your favorite season of Arrow? Do you like Arrow? Do you not like Arrow? Let me know why down below in the comments. But guys, that is pretty much it. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you in the next